Welcome back to episode 3 of Shibumi, and this is the boat build with pictures and videos. So what you have here are the CAD drawings that we were supplied with from Bruce Roberts, and these are just PDFs of the actual CAD. We have them in proper CAD format, and this just gives you an indication of really what you're dealing with when building a boat. So we're back to early 2008, January 2008, and finishing off webbing to get ready for the build of the aft cabin, which you can see there going in, and the side sheeting. So this is as far as we got in the end of 2007, and we're now just getting ready early in 2008. So these are the forward coach roof frames. You can see them there in the distance in the picture. So there's still quite a lot of steel on the lawns ready to go onto the boat. So that's the top of the swim deck. Now that's extended, that's not part of the model, that was our own design. And there's the back walls of the aft cabin and the curve for the spiral staircases. So it's really just a case of bit by bit putting it together, working late into the night. So that's the back of the aft cabin into the saloon area. They had to be stood up with something high. So usually you had to work late because those machines were rented and costing a lot of money. So these are the back windows of the aft cabin. Now that's our design as well. 2 windows, there was supposed to be one lower one. And then the roof of the aft cabin. That's Dara. And there's David. And there's the roof, and you can see the little cutout there on the right of that sheet of where the spiral staircase comes up through it. So as you can see, everything is more or less laid in, and you know, a week of rain would really hold you up. You could just do nothing. We weren't undercover. And you can see gaps and everything. At this point, the whole boat is still only tack welded together. You can see all the seams are still open. It would sink if it was put in the water straight away. So the forward sheeting now going up. These sheets had to be held up, and 1 or 2 welds is all held them in, and then lots of straps and chains and ratchet straps to try and get them into their shape where they needed to be. And sometimes you had to leave them there overnight and come back the following day, and it would set in for you. So there's the bow starting to come together, and the centre stem piece is now fitted. At this point you can see the amount of tension that's needed, and to manipulate the sheets into position. That's the last of the front of the sheeting. And we nearly have a boat. There's the bow almost complete. and the actual nose piece, that's only temporarily fitted. It was built oversized, it's supposed to be, and you cut it to suit then when you're ready to put it in. So it does appear in the pictures and then it disappears and it reappears. So the side of the gunnels. So the right hand side fitted perfectly. The left hand side, you'll see in a while we had to just move a frame slightly, because these are now showing you the actual shape of the boat. You're trying to follow them and you're trying to get the sheets to come together and still maintain a lovely curve and follow everything correctly. So you can see there 3 hydraulic bottle jacks and a whole ton of scaffolding, and what we're actually trying to do is stretch the boat. I think it was about 8mm to get the gunnels to line into the sheets perfectly and just push out the boat slightly. So now there's the side of the cockpit going on, and there's the other side. The lawn is starting to get clearer, and we're now in February of 2008, actually my birthday that year. So then the saloon roof girders are in. So all that top piece was all put on in one day with the lads and that Manitou machine hired in. That's late that night. So following day, all the stiffeners are put in and welded up, and we managed to get the roof sheets on. The only way in at the time there was in through the little holes where the steps will go. Everything else was closed in, and there's the lawns cleared for the first time in 5 months. So they're the fuel tanks. Now these have since been, in 2020, these have now been scrapped. They didn't make it, they were just black metal like that, wasn't protected. And we've scrapped them, as you can see in other videos. So that's the rubbing strip for the underside of the swim deck, which is also extended in our own design. And these are the portholes, there's 10 of those. And they had to have a band fitted all around them, so I made this jig and just bent the metal around and welded them. That's more workings of the tanks. That's David. So the front windows aren't in, and then they go in. You can just see them there. They just got put in. So the bow piece is out now, getting cut. So you can see rough lines on it there, marker lines, and then cutting it and then fitting it in. Now I purposely left out the top piece. I'd cut it short because of the nose cone that goes in. Can't find any photographs of that being made. That was made in Eurofab with Martin Connolly or Martin Crowley. So everything is starting to get tacked together now and bent into shape, final shapes. So this is really where lots of time goes, because it's one thing tacking it in, it's another thing fully welding it. The amount of clamps needed just to hold down the roof to get the curve, this natural curve. So this is the flybridge, the stand-ups for the flybridge. Tacked in. It took about 3 days to put this together, because all the metal had to be bent around and lined up, and as you can see, it's coming together slowly, but it just took hours and hours. So front windows are now welded in properly and all the seams are done. So when it looks, like it's not going to line up, and then all of a sudden you just stay at it and everything just kind of comes right. But you need lots of brute force to get it right and make sure that you have it right and then weld it. So there's the flybridge complete. And then we start. It nearly took 8 months to weld the whole boat. So that's the start of the engine bay. Welding every seam slowly, and you have to make sure that you're not over welding and creating too much heat. You're going to buckle the boat. Do the same amount of welding on both sides. So anything that looks crooked just isn't welded, and then by the time you see it, it's welded. So we're now starting to get to fitting the keel shortly in these pictures, if I remember rightly. So you can see the formers now that have now fully sit into position. The boat is completely sitting on the formers from a very early hour. There's the keel going in with the stern tube. I think this took about 2 days to do. So the little backing strip at the bottom is to catch the sheet on the other side. You can weld one side, but you can't weld the other. And it's done then with these slot welds. So there's the stern tube completely welded through the frame plate. You can see it's welded on the other side, double weld even. And then the side sheeting. There in the summer, that was done in the summer. There's the other side going on now, so we're actually closing the keel now. This is typical of the welds. Where the welds were done, they were re-ground back and then another new layer welded, and this had to happen over God knows how many meters. Now this is the water tank, which does feature in the later videos, and it was where it was made down in Eurofab, and this was all laser cut to the boat's design, to our own design. And it follows across 3 frames in the bow. It's 1200 litres. These are the davit troughs, I call them. They were put into the swim deck so that davits can be stored out of the way, a collapsible davit to pick up a rib or a little dinghy or whatever. There's a lot of pictures missing in the original files that I had. So what you're seeing here is stuff that was done in 2008, and they're the only pictures I really had. I'm missing a lot of pictures from that period. So Shibumi is nearly ready for blasting, so we're now starting to build up the scaffold. We put a fake roof on it with plastic, And there's the start of the roof, which is all truss that we use for what I do, my real job. And then the boat is cocooned, and it was blasted, there was pictures taken, and then it was primed. So we're really at the end of the video here. So that's as far as we got in 2010, and the rest really didn't start till 2020. This is the little logo there. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching, and this is just a kind of a retrospective view of how it all got there back